President of the United States, proudly present at the Third Pan-American Congress in Washington, D.C. Believe that with God's help, our two countries shall continue to live side by side in peace and prosperity. Benjamin Harrison.
On every question, we are waiting for the aid or consent of any other nation on earth. Upon that issue, we expect to carry every single state in this union. I shall not slander the fair state of Massachusetts nor the state of New York by saying that the people of those states will declare our helpless imminency as a nation to attend to our own business. My fellow citizens, recent events have imposed upon the patriotic people of this country a responsibility and a duty greater than that of any since the Civil War. Then it was a struggle to preserve the government of the United States. Now it is a struggle to preserve the financial honor of the government.
Surrendered to any set of men, no matter what their position or their character, the final right to determine those fundamental questions upon which free self-government ultimately depends.
That there are certain crises in the forward march of Christian civilization that perhaps could not have been met in any other way than by the sword. I'm willing to admit that war develops certain heroic traits in men and furnishes a test for the evidence of the highest character.
Element. As I see it, it is made up of three elements in particular. The first consists of those Republicans whose consciences and whose stomachs could not stand what the regular Republicans were doing. Added to this element are a great many men and women of noble character and of elevated purpose, who believe that this combination of forces may in the future bring them out on a plane where they can accomplish those things which their hearts have so long desired.
The Federal Constitution in 1787. The Pilgrims signed their simple and majestic covenant a full century and a half before and set aflame their beacon of liberty on the coast of Massachusetts.
I have only the most general idea of what it is, mechanically and scientifically, that is being done. But I am assured that a photo film of this scene is to be produced, combining a record both for the eye and the ear, a record that may be described as a speaking, moving picture.
Our party can truly feel that we have held the faith. That we shall do so in the future is our solemn responsibility of this hour. The Republican Party has ever been the party of constructive action. It will support the new administration in every measure which will promote public welfare. It must and will be vigilant in opposing those which are harmful.
1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked.
What has already happened to Tokyo will happen to every Japanese city whose industries feed the Japanese war machine. If the Japanese insist on continuing resistance beyond the point of reason, their country will suffer the same destruction as Germany.
Tolerate 3 or 4 weeks of study now demand almost instantaneous a reaction.
Best of all mankind. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Innocent people, Negro and white, have been killed. Damage to property owned by Negroes and white is calamitous. Worst of all, fear and
bitterness which have been loosed will take long months to erase.
I have never been a quitter. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But as president, I must put the interests of America first.
My fellow Americans, the oath that I have taken is the same oath that was taken by George Washington and by every president under the Constitution. But I assume the presidency under extraordinary circumstances never before experienced by Americans.
I promised you a president who is not isolated from the people, who feels your pain and who shares your dreams, and who draws his strength and his wisdom from you. During the past 3 years, I've spoken to you on many occasions about national concern.
Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I'll say no, and they'll push, and I'll say no, and they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new access.
Mr. Vice President, members of the 104th Congress, distinguished guests, my fellow Americans all across our land. Let me begin tonight by saying to our men and women in uniform around the world, and especially those helping peace take root in Bosnia and to their families, I thank you. America is very, very proud of you.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices. Secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror.
So that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment. And we're further along to be able to catch it.
Together, we will make America strong again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great